Away.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah. So we'll go back to what we're talking about. Yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is that I know that Zuma has the master plan and everything, but he's pushing the boundaries here by believing that I think he needs to make a choice. He's saying he wants to be a member of MK and ANC. You can't do that. What he can do is if ANC reinstalls him for being illegally kept out, then he has to cut ties of with MK. But here's the thing, Lorato. We all know that you can, even though you don't belong to both parties, you can still belong to them de facto. I think that that's what he can do. Perfect example. I think that Biden works for the Republican Party and on purposely tanked the Democratic Party. But formally, he's not a member of the Republican Party. So all I'm arguing is that formally, Zuma cannot be member of both. He can only be member of one of them formally. But now in the background, if he wants to manipulate it, he can do it. What do you think? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I do not
What are your
disagree
thoughts
with
about it?
you.
You get what I'm trying to say? You can't stop somebody
I
from.
get what you're
You
trying
can't.
to say.
Here's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's not illegal. For example, it's not illegal for me to be a member of MK Party, but to still have friends in the ANC Party and say do this and do that. It's not illegal. But what I'm saying is that the Constitution of South Africa, to me, cannot say that ANC doesn't have the right to keep him out because since he belongs to MK, or at least the Constitution doesn't speak on it. So now it's going to become a legislative view, but it's very irrational to tell ANC that they have to keep Zuma and he can also be party with MK Party. And we know that in South African law system they use rationality. That's irrational. What do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's trying to be rational. He's trying to be.
Oh, not him. I'm
Uh,
talking about the legal system. If they allow him to do this, they are irrational. That's what I'm saying.
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the law will do what it does,
Yeah,
but I
but I'm
think
asking you a more specific question. If you were a legal expert and the South African government said that ANC has no right to get rid of this guy and he can belong to two parties, wouldn't you say that's an irrational decision?
it would definitely be an irrational decision.
Yeah, that's all. That's
I'm,
all. That's my
I'm,
only argument. That's my only
y-
argument.
yeah, 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 and I'm not arguing that argument.
Yeah.
I'm simply observing what it is that Zuma is doing, or that which he is trying to do. In as much as it is a crazy and insane thing to try and do. I'm simply observing it and reading into what other analysts are saying about it in terms of how he's thinking about it. Um, from
And we
like
believe, and also if we
from like a cerebral point of view. So I think that's what he's trying to say to us. But yeah, I think also then yeah, it's sort of like um, an interesting conversation to be entered into, because what I see Zuma trying to do is trying to stay conversational, like to be in the conversation, to be in in spaces of contention. He's trying to bully the ANC into like always thinking about him instead of dealing with their own politics and things like those. And I think it's also a way in which he's trying to siphon more membership from the
yeah.
ANC
So we're
into
on the
the
same page, but then that means he's not looking out for the well-being of South Africa. He's looking out for himself, and I would say that's the same thing as Malema, who has alienated all of the best leaders in EFF, and also like Afolabi said, the EFF youth back in Dlozi and these guys, and Malema is not even giving a voice to the youth. You see what I'm saying? And these guys are letting their ego get ahead of South Africa's well-being, because to me, EFF, MK Party, Communist Party, PAC, and some of these student unions need to be working together to thwart the DA. And the big winner now is the DA, because DA has a voice. In a black country, there was a white settler country before where there was racism and everything. DA is part of a union with ANC, and the progressive part of South Africa has no voice. It's almost like going back to apartheid days. What do you think, Lorato?
yeah, I think that the main thing is that the capitalists have a voice, um, and that's the sort of like the whole idea of the DA having any voice or anything like that.
Okay,
It's
but hold
more
on.
about,
Isn't ANC also capitalist? ANC or MK are
yeah, yeah, yeah.
capitalist.
No, no,
Yeah. So
no,
that's my
no.
point.
Yeah, so,
Yeah. Yeah.
so that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's that it's about like the
Yeah.
I think what the ex DA leader, the ex Black DA leader, Musi Maimani, was saying was that, in his opinion, he thinks that the GNU serves the elite, um, and that is what it was meant for. So the DA is still living true to its principles of serving the elite and the capitalist class and all that stuff. Where else the ANC is kind of like trying to fence sit and trying to please both sides, like you were saying, trying to ride two horses,
Yeah.
and things like that, you know.
But also the DA goes beyond capitalism. They're white supremacists because they'll even make decisions which are bad for money to help Israel and to help their people in the West, even if it doesn't help them financially. And this is the big problem. And I say that this is the problem. That's why I say I don't think white South Africans can call themselves South Africans. Because if South Africa said that they were going to move away from the dollar and fuck the West, white South Africans would be angrier even if they get more money. What do you think, Lorato?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think, I mean, we have seen how they've been in this disagreement with the ANC on their alliance with Russia and things like that, and saying no, 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 the ANC cannot
Even
impose
though it may help them. So that shows you that their first loyalty of the DA is to white people, not to money. You see what I'm
to
saying?
to Western hegemony, not
Yeah, they're
not
part of the
only
West, wherever they
sure.
admit it. They call themselves Africans, but if they could, if the DA could, if white South Africa could press a button in which there were only whites in Africa and no blacks, they would do it immediately. That's my argument. Yeah, not every white South African, but in general, because that's what they want. They
Yeah,
want to settle the land. They want to take the land and get rid of the blacks and the coloreds, which is why blacks and colored people are killing each other, selling tick and doing everything. White boys are loving that. Maybe I'm wrong. What do you think? Yeah.
yeah, they wouldn't do it because they still need the labor. But
Yeah, I'm thinking ideally, but if they could find a way in which millions of Europeans would move in and cover the labor, they would love to see that. Yep.
yeah, and unless you're talking about a technocracy where AI takes over all the jobs,
Yeah,
then
yeah, yeah,
then I suppose
yeah.
they could push a button and get rid of all the black people, a la black consciousness, meaning all people
Because
who,
you only need to look at how black people, yeah. You only need to look
yeah,
at how black people and colored people live in areas which are control. I lived in Cape Town. I always told people Cape Town is the most beautiful city in Europe. That's what I tell people. Cape Town is not part of South Africa. Even their laws, they don't listen to the government. That's the most beautiful city in Europe. You get what I'm trying to say? Black people and colored people have no power in the Western Cape. They have power in Gauteng, but not in the Western Cape. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So I think they are sort of like trying to. There has been that conversation of people in the Western Cape trying to create their own nation state, which is a
Yeah.
crazy thing. It's unconstitutional, in fact.
They even have some
Um,
areas, Orania and all those areas, man.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But they are thinking about doing that, like this divesting from the South African sort of dynamic, which is crazy because uh, a lot of the people who settle in Cape Town, in the rich parts of Cape Town, are people who are in mining and things
Yeah.
like that. All the mines are in the northwest and in Gauteng and things like that.
Can you
Um,
imagine that? So now they're
so a
taking
lot of,
wealth from Gauteng and using it to develop their area.
yeah, yeah. So it would be like, um, then South Africa becomes a colony of Cape Town, of the Western Cape or
Can you
whatever,
imagine? This is some BS, man.
which
This
would
is
be
some BS.
insane. But this is like what Western imagination sort of conjures up.
Yeah.
Um,
And this is
you
why
know,
I'm angry at guys like Malema and Zuma. You guys are fighting amongst each other, man. You guys are supposed to be working together, man.
oh
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
yeah, no, for sure. I don't know, Afolabi, what are your thoughts, man?
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of Falabi? Yeah.
That's why I believe the GNU is just a concept that can never work. It's just a concept of strange bedfellows, basically. with divergent views. And
Come a
like
little bit closer. Yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
said that's why I feel the GNU is a concept that can never work. It's just a concept of strange bedfellows, that have divergent views. And like I said earlier when I was talking to you, I feel Zuma just wants to be some kind of Goliath that will just be controlling everybody and undermine what's it called, Ramaphosa, undermine him and make him look stupid. I believe he has planted moles in the ANC to
Oh yeah,
undermine
yeah. But here's the problem:
double
Ramaphosa is
agents.
not the issue. He needs to think about the country also, not just Ramaphosa. But go ahead. Yeah.
Like you rightly mentioned, Mustafa, they're not thinking about the country because they're downright selfish. And that's where the problem really is. They're thinking of their own selfish interest. Because why would you want to be influential in the MK as well as the ANC? It doesn't make rational sense.
And
What
also, here's the thing: because what he's doing is that he wants to be part of every party. No problem. I'm not going to say that's right or wrong, but all I'm going to say is that those parties can also fight you to make sure that, for example, if I'm in the EFF and Zuma tells me he's a member of ANC, by definition, the EFF is against ANC because ANC needs to change. So if I were an EFF person, I would be like, no, we don't want you here because you're going to undermine our agenda. What do you
sure.
think about that, Lorato? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. But I think like you sort of
Or a
like
perfect
mentioned.
example: what if someone said, "I want to be head of the board of McLaren and also head of the board of Ferrari"? Does that even make sense? They're competing against each other. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Conflict of interest.
There's conflict
Yeah.
of interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's conflict of interest in what he's presenting. But I think, like I said, in his mind, he's trying to unify forces. I think that are in alliance with what his way of thinking.
Okay. So,
Um,
but also earlier you said no, he's trying to get revenge for them kicking out. What is it? Is he trying to unify forces to lead the country, or is he just trying to keep power for himself?
no, I do think he's trying to keep power for himself, but he's doing it under the auspices of trying to usurp from, like I said, whatever membership from either the ANC or from the EFF or from
Yeah.
whatever party that agrees with his agenda. He's
Yeah.
trying to
Yeah.
bring those people back
So
to
I
the
agree.
MK
So
as
I agree with
as
you.
a new light.
So I'm going to take
Yeah,
it to
so
another
so this
level.
idea of I think even this idea of him fighting the ANC on the basis of his membership might be disingenuous, um,
Yeah.
but it is by design to sort of
And
get
also,
into the minds of the
yeah,
party. And
yeah. And
yeah,
also, it's unethical for him to say that he's a member of MK and ANC, but then he's helping MK defeat ANC. And at the same time, he's in ANC and asking them, help me defeat EFF. So it begins to show that he doesn't have any integrity and none of these parties can trust him. Because if you're part of ANC, if you're saying you're trying to be part of ANC, but at the same time you're trying to recruit ANC people to come to MK, that means, so in other words, he's a double agent, and nowhere in the world is a double agent considered to be ethical. Yeah.
yeah, no, he's a classical. He's trying to be a double agent, and like Afolabi said,
Yeah.
there's suspicions that he has other double agents, even within the ANC, who
Crazy,
are
man.
monitoring things on his behalf. And we've always known something like that to be true, even for someone like Malema,
Yeah.
because he would always report to reporters before the ANC makes moves to say, you must watch, they're going
Yeah.
to fire this guy, they're going to do this and do that, because he has ears, like he has flies on the ANC wall whenever they
Yeah, but
have.
meanwhile, nobody is talking about social justice and socialism in
Yeah,
South
that
Africa.
I was getting to that point
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that you started with, to say, in the midst of, um, like, the right organizing in the way that it's organizing in order to further continue dispossessing black people of land and of resources and all those things. um, Black parties are disunited and sort of, led astray by these leaders who are very egoistic, and are not focusing on the real issues and real problems.
Yeah,
You have the ANC itself struggling to sort of put itself back together again post the election, and they're thinking more about electioneering. They're thinking more about sort of trying to reintegrate their branches so that they can get back to a majority and all those
yeah.
things.
Look,
But,
look, 2026 elections are here almost. Can you
yeah, yeah,
imagine?
yeah.
And meanwhile, there has been nothing. So we're just having election cycles, no changes at all. It's just getting ready for the next
Yeah,
election.
yeah. So I think that is the problem, that there's a lot of electioneering. But
Yeah.
in between all of that, these guys are making very interesting statements. Um,
It's crazy. And not only
yeah,
that, forget about there's even guys in the ANC who said, "Oh, what's his name? I forgot the guy's other name. The guy who was the other guy said that Shivambu told me that he was going to be leaving anyway. A guy from the ANC. It's like everybody knows. It's like it's an open secret amongst all the groups. One of the
Logo.
guys said that Shivambu told me that he's going to be leaving, and this is someone who now has a strong position in ANC. So it's like there's several double agents in all groups. So it's almost like it's one party system.
yeah,
The looting party. There's only one party, the looting party. Go ahead. Yeah.
but I mean, all these guys are sort of defectors from the ANC.
Yeah, but then they go
Um,
to MK. Yeah, they go to MK. Yeah, yeah. But
yeah,
after they
yeah.
leave
So
MK, they still negotiate with people in the party they left. This is like
yeah,
espionage.
no, yeah, but I'm saying, like, even the EFF is a defector from the ANC, and they do keep
Yeah, but
contact.
the difference is that when the ENF when they EFF defected, they made a clean break and they never tried to come back to the ANC and they brought a new voice. Do you see what I'm saying? But what this
Yeah,
guy is doing,
but
he's breaking from the ANC and still wants to be part of them. So it means that if you still want to be part of them,
oh,
you're not repudiating them. He's not
yeah,
so my thing
but
is
the
that
point, yeah, the
Mhm.
point I was making was that even after those defections, the in as much as the EFF as an organization is completely separate from the ANC, people in the ANC and the EFF continue having
Yeah, but here's the
conversations.
difference though, and this is where I give Malema credit. The leadership of the EFF is not mingling with other groups, which is Malema. So maybe that's why he needs to be at the top
No,
because he's the
no,
only. Yeah,
no, he mingles with other ANC people. That's
yeah,
what
but
I'm
that's when
saying.
it comes to money, but not when it comes to undermining his party, though.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah.
What I was saying is, because of these historical relationships, they continue to communicate behind closed doors or in the
Okay, so
corridors of
then
power.
according to that, then the only parties that we should be voting for are the student movement, PAC, and communists. Those are the only unpolluted parties in South Africa.
Yeah,
And once again, it shows
it's
you that South Africa is cursed, just like America. South Africa is controlled by capitalism. There's no socialism in South Africa, no socialism in America, no socialism in most countries in the world. And it's even worse because at least in countries like Russia and China, their native people are living well because they're white. Russians are white, so they take care of themselves. No black country in the world seems to be taking care of its own citizens. That's the sad truth. You understand what I'm saying? So even though there may be corruption in Russia, Russian citizens are enjoying their wealth. Black South Africans are not enjoying the wealth of their country, and it seems like their politicians don't care because their politicians are cronies. If Malema is communicating with ANC guys and with people in other parties, it means that they're all agreeing that this is a scam. What do you think? Yeah.
yeah, I don't know about them all agreeing about it being a scam, but I
Well,
think,
here's the thing: if you get involved in corruption, that means that you know you're a scam artist.
yeah, yeah,
That
yeah,
banking
yeah, no,
corruption thing went across all parties. The
yeah,
banking
I'm just
corruption.
saying it's
Yeah.
it's all like power politics.
Yeah, but it's more than that. It's a scam because they're stealing money from poor people, like that banking scandal in which every party was involved, except for DA, which is ironic. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's all just like party politics,
Yeah.
and
That's
and
why I
power
call it a
politics.
scam because they're using the Constitution and the country's resources to feed themselves at the expense of black people.
Sure. Yeah, so it's all of that, and all of them using rhetoric like uplifting the, black people.
Nah,
I
nah,
mean,
nah.
even this idea of Jacob Zuma coming through and saying that he wants to unite all these parties so that they can serve black people, because he feels like they haven't been serving them when he was president for uh, a
Yeah,
good
he
10
needs to ask
years.
himself about the arms corruption and all that. Him and Mbeki.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and all those things. So I think uh, it begs the question again, that is contradictory to the moves that is making, that what was it about the ANC that made him unable to accomplish the things that he wanted to
well,
accomplish while he was president,
yeah,
and
I'm
why
asking a
is he
different question. Yeah, I don't think he ever wanted to accomplish anything good for the country, or that I think he wanted to, but his narcissism got in the way and blindsided him. Because I think so. What I think is that he may have had good intentions, but his love of power made him fall. So I don't think he's worthy of being a black leader. Because to be a black leader,
yeah,
you have to be not only black, white. You have to be above corruption. Cabral was above corruption. Nkrumah was above corruption. Um, the guy in Congo, Lumumba was above
Lumumba
corruption.
and
You
Sankara.
cannot be a leader. I don't care how much you love black people. You can't be a leader for black people if you have the weakness. Notice I'm not saying it's a moral weakness, but if you have the weakness of will in which you allow white money to corrupt you, because it's white
Why,
money
why,
that's corrupted all these guys. Yeah.
why do you think it's not a moral weakness?
No, I don't want to speak in terms of morality. I want to speak in terms of these guys have a weakness of will because we can't act according to morals. To me, morals is a social construct also. We have to have an ideology and just stick to it. Once you choose your ideology, you have to stick to it, whether it's right or wrong. And these guys do not have an ideology which is looking out for the welfare of black people because they are corrupt. The definition of corruption is to go against your ideology for profit. That's the
Okay,
only morality I care about.
all right. No,
Oh,
no, yeah.
even if let's for example, let's say I'm a white supremacist. If I am a white supremacist, then even money shouldn't stop me from doing that. Because you know that you are a philosopher, and you know that if we study Buddhism and everything, moral judgments are invalid. All that matters is instrumentality of what your value system is. If you
Yeah,
say
no,
that
no, no.
your value system, yeah.
Yeah, I was trying to understand what you meant
Yeah, that's what
by
I'm talking about.
morality.
Forget about morality. Forget about
So
morality. Let's talk about instrumentality. Like, for example, I am a animist, which means I believe in my ancestors and my descendants. Nothing will take me off of that. I don't care whether it's moral or immoral. It's my mission. Same thing with I don't consider guys like Trump and Hitler evil. I consider them to go against my value system. But I really appreciate the level of emphaticism they have for their value system, which is why they're beating us. What do you have to say?
yeah, no, no, I hear what you're saying. I just needed
No,
you to
I'll give you an
clarify.
example. How can we call ourselves
But it's a
moral?
great point of
Lorato, how can you call yourself moral if you eat meat? You're killing human life. I'm a human being
yeah,
and I eat meat. That means that I'm not moral. So I don't have any value for morals because it's wrong to kill animals and eat them. If I do that,
yeah.
then I shouldn't think that there's anything different from a white person killing me to eat me because it's the same life force. You see what I'm saying?
No,
So
no,
at
no. I
least
get what you
forget
said.
about morals and figure out what your objective is. And my argument is that the objective of Malema and Zuma and these guys is not Pan-Africanism because they are allowing their corruption to undermine
Help
Pan-Africanism.
them. Yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
about
no, no.
morality.
I think,
It's about who is your family and who do you care about. They don't care about us because if they did, they wouldn't
yeah,
allow
no,
themselves to be bought.
yeah, no, no. I think maybe it's because um and I appreciate the clarity because it moves us away from the idea of Western morality and more towards like the ideal of African humanism, like we always speak about,
Yeah,
in that sense, because I think that is what they are betraying,
that's what
more
they're
than,
betraying. Yes, yeah,
yeah, more than the betrayal of morals, like as you explain it.
yeah.
So yeah, that's why I'm saying I feel like some of these moves that they're making and some of these statements are very disingenuous, in the grander scheme of things, in as much as in their utterances they speak with good intentions, you know. um
Yeah.
I think when you were speaking about Malema and how his ideas about activating the youth within the EFF and things like that, I think he has some ideas of how to do it, and he's speaking about ways in which they're trying to do it. There's um, a school that they're trying to build and things like that, like trying to make things that are effective. Um, but then they have to battle things like governmental control and things like that.
Yeah,
And I'm not sure how genuine these acts are from some of the political leaders, not necessarily from EFF memberships
yeah.
or from Malema particularly, but
Uh-huh.
I think from both him uh, and Jacob Zuma. I'm not sure about their
Yeah,
genuineness.
yeah,
We know the ANC has been disingenuous before in terms of how they've led us to where we are in the 30 years after democracy,
yeah,
where they made a lot of bad concessions to the
yeah.
capitalist class. Um, so yeah,
It
I
takes a
think
lot of
that's why.
discipline, and I'll even say I think that I don't think Malema is disingenuous, but his corruption and his corruption and his over control of EFF has undermined his own agenda. So I look at him
But
like a
then,
Shakespearean
yeah, but
character.
I think that the corruption is him being disingenuous. Then his acts are not. If he had
No, what I mean is
like
that, so
like
for
you
example,
said,
but
that you remember, like,
he may be delusional because disingenuous still means that you're lying. So I think he believes he's everything, but he doesn't see who he really is. That he's weak because he fell in
well,
his lowest
maybe,
moment. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
maybe
Because to me,
he's
disingenuous involves a certain level of intentional deception. I'm not going to
yeah,
accuse him of that. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
I would.
I
Yeah,
yeah, I don't know. I think he knows enough about
yeah.
what
That he
he's
is.
doing
But here's so let's move on
to
to the
know
last
that
thing. Yeah,
that he's being deceptive, and that also in his utterances he's being very flippant and very dismissive of very
yeah.
serious
That means I can't believe in
questions.
him. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, of very serious questions with regards to his leadership and his
yeah.
party membership being in the state that it is in now. And I think if he's not honest with himself about that, the EFF might slip through his fingers, and
Oh yeah,
we might
it
be
may
having
fall because you know what?
a different conversation.
He's doing
Yeah,
his best to destroy the EFF. He's doing, and they have their best leader, who we don't have any dirt on, in Lozi, and that becomes maybe in Lozi shouldn't be involved in politics because you can't survive in politics unless you're corrupt. And I think he has
yeah,
too
yeah.
much.
No,
Yeah, yeah,
he's
yeah.
he's gone to church now.
I thought
He's
that was a
gone to
joke.
church.
So he's
No,
now a
no, no.
minister.
No, he was in church. He was in church on that video singing hymns because he's a very brilliant singer.
Oh
So I
my God.
think
So
I
now
think
he believes in theology, liberation theory.
yeah,
No, no, but I don't blame him
possibly,
because I think that's what's happened to
yeah,
him. For good conscience, he can't go to. They say he may go to ANC. If he goes to ANC, I'm going to be surprised because I know one thing about
yeah.
him
No,
because I went to school with this
I
guy.
wouldn't also want him to do that. I think
Yeah, I went to school
I
with
I
him. I
think
used to argue with him about socialism. This guy
yeah,
is pure into his theory, so I don't think he's going to compromise his movement at all. Yeah,
yeah. Unless he goes to the PAC or Zapo or
yeah,
anything
yeah.
like that,
Yeah, but he's gone
I
to
don't
church.
expect.
And you know what's funny? I'm not a Christian, but I always tell people that I'll go to church. I'm a Catholic and I'm a Baptist, which means the spirit that you see those guys when they're singing, you can just divorce it from what the Bible says. Yeah, it's still beautiful. Just like anything,
Yeah, no,
Catholicism. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. I wish he finds like a settled space and a space of peace that can allow him to possibly sort of implement some of the ideas that he had, even
Oh
if
yeah,
it's through theology and Christianity. I
oh yeah.
think
You need to become a spirit, a community worker, socialist activist. But
exactly,
whatever he
exactly.
does, it should change the political system too.
I,
You
I,
get my
I,
point?
I think so. From whatever that he does it, I
Yeah.
hope he realizes he doesn't have to be part of the
No, you don't have to
corrupt
be
party
elected. No,
system.
you don't have to be elected. Yeah.
Because the party system is corrupt, as we've been saying.
Yeah.
All these power dynamics that these guys are busy hashing on about, and not actually
Nah,
helping
nah.
people on the ground. is a lot of nonsense.
Yeah,
We have a
and
lot
I
of
always
work
say,
to
I
do.
wish I could have a time just to talk to him for a day. I'm not trying to brag, because all I would tell him, man, you're the man. All you got to do is talk to those student kids and start. You could even start a political system, but it would have to be outside of money. It would have to be grassroots. You get my point? Yeah, it would have
Yeah,
to be
sure,
grassroots.
sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm not, because I used to talk to this guy. Maybe I'm sure, because someone like him is brilliant, more brilliant than we are. But all it takes is one person who, you know how when you're driving, you tell somebody, okay, I'm driving, can you watch the blind spot for me? So the person watching the blind spot doesn't mean they're smarter than the other person, but it means that everybody needs to have someone else to cover their blind spot. Same thing with us. So my thing is that he needs to, hopefully somebody can get to him and inspire him on which way to move, which should be a student movement and a political movement, which isn't based on the money system that comes in capitalism. You know, it
Yeah,
can be done.
no.
It's difficult, but the problem is that to do that, you have to do the same thing with what's his name, Andile. What's his name? The one that was also with the EFF. Andile.
Mutama,
Yeah, he's a good guy too, but he got frustrated because he realized this is a money game, man. All right, what are your thoughts,
yeah,
Afalabi, about what we've been saying? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, basically, I just feel with
Come a
respect
little
to
bit
the
closer. Yeah,
basically I just feel with respect to the EFF, the party's handling of internal disputes needs to become more transparent. Like their
yeah,
discipline measures should be clearly communicated, so that speculation will be mitigated, trust can be rebuilt, and it can attract members who value accountability in leadership. Most of their processes, internal disputes, are not transparent at all, and it makes people to lose faith in their ability to join the party and become leaders. And I
yeah,
feel they need to connect to the grassroots more, especially in
yeah,
local government areas, doing projects that can impact the
yeah,
grassroots, because that's what EFF is all about.
yeah. Can I add one thing? And I think what you're saying, though, but I think EFF already has it. Maybe Lorato can could give us some clarification. They have young people who are ready. They're willing to move, and they started off as a grass movement inspired by Malema when he stood up against Zuma back in the day, and the ANC, because he was the ANC youth leader, and he developed EFF from the ground roots. But maybe he's lost connection with the youth because the youth are waiting. They're waiting for the right direction. What do you think, Lorato? Yeah,
yeah. Like I'm saying,
yeah,
like from what some of his latest statements, he is trying to activate the youth factor within the EFF,
yeah,
because he believes that is the biggest, like those are the largest voters and believers of the EFF
Demographic.
message.
yeah,
Yeah, so he's pushing that. I think they've sort of switched what used to be the student command into a youth command.
yeah,
I
yeah.
so that it's more spread out outside of just the
You know what? You know what I think
universities.
the problem is. He still needs funding for his party, and I think that's where the conflict comes. Some of his funding must be coming from people who don't want those youth to go too far, and that's why the problem with the election system because it's driven by money. What do you think, Lorato? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, I think yeah, he has
Trust me, I haven't given
some.
up I haven't given up on Malema. I still think he should be the leader of EFF, but these are some serious issues, man. Go continue. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah, no, he has some serious things to think about
And
in
also,
terms of
sorry
the
to confront you. I think he
organization.
should be a leader rather than of the group, rather than Ndosi, because he's more vocal. But I do think he needs to address some of his corruption issues and also find new funding for the party. Sorry, continue. No more jumping in. Yeah, yeah. Mm.
Yeah, no, for sure. But we're out of time, man.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, how much time do we have, Falabi? Yeah.
Less than a
Two
minute. We
seconds.
have less than it. Just